So this story for you now, an NPR editor now suspended for failing to get approval to write this piece, which was a blockbuster. Quote, "I've been at NPR for 25 years. Here's how we lost America's trust." In it, senior editor Yuri Berliner writes, quote, "There's an unspoken consensus about the stories we should pursue and how they should be framed. It's frictionless on one story after another about instances of supposed racism, transphobia, signs of the climate apocalypse, Israel doing something bad, and the dire threat of Republican policies. It's almost like an assembly line," wrote Yuri Berliner, who is a longtime editor at NPR. In moments, Jonathan Turley, but first to Chief Washington correspondent Mike Emanuel with the backstory here on Mr. Berliner. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Martha. The senior editor says the election of former President Trump was greeted at NPR with a mixture of disbelief, anger, and despair. Uri Berliner says the rise of advocacy at that network took off in the Trump era. He argues what began as tough, straightforward coverage of him veered toward efforts to damage or topple his presidency. Berliner wrote in the Free Press, quote, "It's true, NPR has always had a liberal bent, but during most of my tenure here, an open-minded, curious culture prevailed. We were nerdy, but not knee-jerk, activist, or scolding. In recent years, however, that has changed." NPR executive Edith Chapin said she strongly disagreed in a memo to staff obtained by Fox. Quote, "We're proud to stand behind the exceptional work that our desks and shows do to cover a wide range of challenging stories. We believe that inclusion among our staff with our sourcing and in our overall coverage is critical to telling the nuanced stories of this country and our world." A big controversy, and he is suspended without pay for 5 days, Martha.
Okay, Mike, thank you very much. With that, we bring in constitutional attorney and Fox News contributor Jonathan Turley. Jonathan, great to have you with us. You know, there are a number of stories that Mr. Berliner cites in this. He talks about COVID and the way that they were told to frame that story, to stay far away from any suggestion that it might have come from the Wuhan COVID lab down the street. Also, he talks about the Russian collusion story surrounding President Trump. And he says, as part of that, that Senator Adam Schiff was pretty much their main source on this story, that they were in touch with him and getting feedback from him on a very regular basis. I want to remind everybody what was being said by Adam Schiff at that point. Let's watch this March 22nd NPR interview. Watch.
We have seen ample evidence of collusion very much in the public eye. Whether that evidence amounts to proof beyond reasonable doubt of a criminal conspiracy, I've always said will be up to Bob Mueller. But nonetheless, the evidence of that collusion, the evidence of the relationship between the Trump campaign and the president in Russia needs to be exposed.
The evidence needs to be exposed, he said. Jonathan Turley, your thoughts on this?
Well, this falls into that category in the media of stories too good to check. You know, the NPR ran with a number of false stories, not just Russian collusion. Also on the Lafayette Park controversy, they ran with false statements or stories on that. They kept them up after they were disproven. And what this editor has done was to simply confirm what all of us knew, that that NPR has become unrelentingly partisan, and they've engaged in this type of advocacy journalism. But at the end of the day, Martha, it doesn't matter what the slant is or whether it's slanted. We need to have a discussion in this country about state-funded media. You know, this NPR is indistinguishable from media outlets like MSNBC or CNN, but they don't receive these subsidies. The question is why the United States, every taxpayer, should subsidize NPR. You know, the NPR audience is overwhelmingly wealthy, or they're certainly better off than most Americans. They're overwhelmingly white, and they're overwhelmingly liberal. About 70% identify themselves as liberals, and yet they expect every taxpayer to support them. So the question is, as a country, is this really what we want to do? Do we want the government funding particular media platforms over others?
Yeah, we know there's been a lot of pushback from the new CEO at NPR. She says that they're being mischaracterized in this. We'll see what happens to Mr. Berliner if he decides to go back or if he decides to move on. but he has shaken up the NPR world, that's for sure. Jonathan, thank you. As always, great to see you.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.